to school in the 90s hit different. Before Wi-Fi existed and every kid got glued to their tablets, back to school was a whole vibe, especially for us 90s kids. Remember yourself in a scrunchie, clutching a Lisa Frank folder, gel pens in one hand, Trapper Keeper in the other? Days when the cool kids had a 64-pack Crayola with the sacred sharpener in the back? There were no Google Docs, no iPads, just brown bag book covers, Tamagotchis on your backpack, and light-up sneakers that made you look cool. So today, let's rewind to the days when everything had your name Sharpied on it. The supply list from the teacher. You knew summer was officially over the second that supply list showed up. It didn't matter if it came in the mail, printed off the school website, or handed out at orientation, it was law. That list told you everything you needed to survive the school year. 12 2B pencils, 1 spiral notebook per subject, glue sticks, loose leaf paper, folders with prongs, even a pair of scissors that never cut straight. And always, always, that one vague item that made your mom give you that look. The durable 3-ring binder. Almost every mom asks, what do you need them for? And then came the negotiations. You'd hold the list up like a contract. Okay, it says markers, but it doesn't say which kind. So we could get the scented ones, or glitter ones, or both. The supply list was more than a shopping guide. It was your battle plan. Your official countdown clock. You'd scan it over and over again, daydreaming about what color folders to get for math versus reading. To kids in the 90s, the list wasn't just a piece of paper. It was the foundation that shaped what the school year would look like. Going shopping. Once the list was in your hand, it was time for the annual pilgrimage. Walmart, Kmart, Staples, wherever your parents took you, that aisle was holy ground. You'd see the school supplies section stretched before you like the gates of heaven. Markers lined up like a rainbow, gel pens calling out to you in their shiny packets, notebooks of different colors and sizes stacked together like a mountain. It was a whole world, a whole mood. And don't lie, we all did the same thing. You'd touch every single item. Drag your fingers across the plastic wrap like it was behind glass at a museum. Click the pens to test them, even though they were sealed. For us, it wasn't shopping, it was auditioning. Your mom was doing math in her head, your dad was already checking his watch, and you were locked in. You were comparing folders by vibe. You needed the exact right shade of red for math. You needed a pencil case that snapped shut, not zipped. And if you managed to find sparkly notebooks still on sale, you'd feel like the luckiest kid in the world. And when you finally walked out with your bag full of gear, you were untouchable because the school year hadn't even started, and already you were winning. But if there was one item that ruled the entire aisle, one thing that made the whole store stop when you dropped it in your cart, it was the mighty Trapper Keeper. The Trapper Keeper. You see, back in the day, it didn't matter what else was in your cart.
When it comes to organization, you either got it or you don't. The Trapper from Mead.
Once you have a Trapper Keeper, game over. You won back to school. It had everything. The plastic cover with that perfect glossy finish, the loudest, boldest designs ever printed on paper, and that Velcro rip, you know the one, that shut up an entire classroom in half a second. You'd open it like you were revealing classified documents. Inside, you've got pockets, dividers, and secret stash zones. The Trapper Keeper was less binder and more command center. This thing didn't just organize your papers, it defined you. Your Trapper Keeper said who you were, what you stood for, and if it matched your outfit, power move. But if you wanted elite status, you've got to have the glittery version. If you were gunning for the ultra elite, it means you had one of those designer series, the ones with zip-up mesh and pouches built in. And yeah, some teachers hated them, complaining they were too loud, too bulky, too distracting. But let's be honest, they weren't mad at the noise, they were mad they didn't have one. Lisa Frank. If the Trapper Keeper helped the 90s kids make a statement,
because Lisa Frank comes out with cool new stuff all the time. It's impossible to keep up with, but it's fun to try.
Lisa Frank changed everything. Because once you hit the Lisa Frank section of the aisle, the laws of reality ceased to exist. Unicorns, rainbow tigers, dancing dolphins, ballerina bunnies. It was like stepping into a dream designed by a child who had eaten 6 packs of Fun Dip. You didn't just pick supplies, you curated a vibe. Matching folders, matching stickers, a pencil case that sparkled like a disco ball. And those gel pens? Oh, the gel pens. They didn't write. They danced across the page. You'd fill your notebook margins with doodles so shiny you could use them as mirrors. Even your homework looked like a birthday card. Math was cute. Spelling test was fabulous. Lisa Frank didn't sell school supplies. She sold magic. She made you feel like showing up to class meant something, like the world was yours to color in. And let's not lie, everyone noticed. Even the boys who pretended they didn't like it. Yeah, they still borrowed your dolphin stickers when they thought no one was looking. But as legendary as Lisa Frank was, she didn't have one thing, a prestige-defining flex. You know what I'm talking about. The Crayola 64. There was one item, just one, that could silence an entire...
And 6 different yellows. And lots of colors in between.
Classroom with a single flip of the lid. The Crayola 64. Not the 24-pack, not the budget-friendly 48. We're talking about the big boy. 64 colors, one box, and the built-in sharpener right there on the back like a throne. You didn't just show up with the Crayola 64. You arrived. You'd crack it open like a treasure chest, every crayon perfectly pointed, organized by rainbow gradient, at least for the first week. After that, it looked like a crime scene. But in the beginning, phew, nothing felt more powerful. You'd carefully choose your colors like you were painting a masterpiece. Sky blue for the clouds, robin's egg for the locker, macaroni and cheese for macaroni and cheese. And if someone asked to borrow a rare shade, you had a decision to make, friendship or betrayal. The sharpener was iconic too. You'd twist each crayon like you were fueling up a race car, shavings spilling everywhere like confetti, and honestly, totally worth it. The Crayola 64 was more than just a school supply. It was a flex. It was a personality, and it was yours. And once your Crayolas were locked and loaded, all you needed was a backpack strong enough to carry your entire collection. The Jansport backpack. The Jansport backpack wasn't just something you wore, it was something you lived out of. It came in every color under the sun, grape purple, teal blue, neon green that could guide a plane, and if yours had the suede bottom, yeah, you were fancy. The Jansport had one job, carry everything, not just your notebooks and folders, but your entire teenage life. You had your lunch, your calculator, your trapper keeper, a pile of loose handouts you swore you'd organize later, a crumpled permission slip you never gave your parents, and somewhere, way down in the front pocket, you had a folded up note that said, "Do you like me? Circle yes or no." Oh, and how could we forget that little front pouch? That was your vault, your hideout. Your Tamagotchi definitely lived in there, beeping for food at the worst possible time, and maybe a keychain or 2, or 5, depends on how glamorous you were. The more clunky accessories you had swinging off your zipper, the more unstoppable you felt. Jansport gave us the illusion of order. It was like a mobile filing cabinet for a kid who didn't believe in folders. And we loved it. Honestly, looking back at it now, Jansport wasn't just a backpack that made us feel fly. It was our personality, zipped up and slung over one shoulder. Which brings us to the next iconic back-to-school item, book covers made from grocery bags. Before custom book sleeves,
now, with the book on the paper bag, bring one side of the bag to the other, lining the edges up evenly.
before Amazon Prime packs of stretchy slip-ons, we had grocery bags and imagination. You'd come home with a stack of school-issued textbooks, all stamped with random names from the kids who had them before you. Some pages were doodled on already, some barely holding it together. And your mission? Protect this thing with your life, but also make it cute. So you grabbed a brown grocery bag from the kitchen, cut it open with those dull school scissors, and got to work. Fold, wrap, tape, adjust. And just like that, you've made an instant book cover. And that was where the real fun began. Because that blank brown surface, that was your brand. And you were going to design it to your taste. You'd bubble letter your name across the front like it was a concert poster. Sketch your favorite band logo in the corner. Backstreet Boys? Nirvana? It didn't matter. It was yours to do as you wish. By the end of the year, your book cover was beat up, wrinkled, ink-stained, and barely holding on. But it told a story. Your story. No one could mistake your textbook for anyone else's, because you'd turned something disposable into something personal. But when you finally slid that perfectly wrapped book into your backpack and zipped it up with a proud little smirk, you needed one more thing to feel unstoppable. Shoes. Velcro sneakers. Every kid in the 90s knew one universal truth.
You gotta own the light if you wanna own the night.
If your shoes had lights, you ran faster. It wasn't up for debate. It was science. Okay, kid science, but still. If you stomped on it once, it blinked. You do it again, double blink. These sneakers literally made us feel like we were walking at light speed. The Velcro was crisp and clean. 2 loud pulls and you were locked in. No time for laces. Laces were for people who didn't need to outrun the bell. You'd zip down the hallway, convinced every flash from your soles gave you a power boost. It was like having superpowers, in the form of footwear. Kids who didn't have Velcros had light-up Skechers or LA Gears, and they loved them. Didn't matter if they matched your outfit, didn't matter if one shoe blinked red and the other didn't blink at all. They made you feel fast. And let's be real, if your shoes lit up and had Velcro, you were in the elite tier. If you really grew up in the 90s, you'd know that shoes weren't just shoes, they were gear. They were fuel. They were your edge. Lunchables. There were 2 types of kids at lunch. Those who opened Lunchables.
Lunchables brand mega pack. Everything they love about Lunchables, only more.
And those who wished they did. It didn't even matter what kind you had. They were all legendary. The classic crackers, cheese, and meat stack, elite. The mini nachos with that weirdly perfect cheese dip, underrated. But the undisputed champion, the build-your-own pizza. 3 cold little crusts, pouch of red sauce, sprinkled cheese, sometimes pepperoni if you were lucky. It was like being your own chef. You'd take your time, layering each tiny pizza with the precision of a surgeon. Meanwhile, your friends were stuck with peanut butter sandwiches and crushed chips. If you now had a candy bar or a tiny bag of Airheads or Capri Sun to go with your Lunchables, you were next level. This DIY pizza was more than lunch back in the day. It gave you power, especially if you had an extra pepperoni to trade. You could literally negotiate a pencil, a slap bracelet, or someone's eternal friendship. It was the 90s version of having clout. No one said it out loud, but everyone knew. If you brought Lunchables, you were somebody. But just when you thought you had everything under control, you still had one final boss to face. The checkout line meltdown. When you go shopping in the 90s, everything starts off great.
If anything's on your mind,
Just ask Mrs. Klein.
And if you're waiting too long, we'll open checkout number 9.
Your cart was full, your supplies were set, you felt good. And then you hit the checkout line, aka the final boss. This is where things got real, because right in front of you lay 100 things you didn't think you needed or maybe didn't remember. So you did what every 90s kid did. You started the negotiation. Mom, it's just one more thing. Promise I'll actually use them. They're on sale. See? It says rollback. Okay, what if I pay for half? Your mom didn't even blink. She just hit you with the classic line, if you ask for one more thing, we're putting it all back. And in that moment, you know she's not playing around. So you backed down, whispering to yourself. And yet, sometimes your parents caved. They looked at the pens, sighed, and tossed them on the conveyor belt like, fine, but don't ask for anything else. If that happened to you, you probably walked out of that store like a champion holding your prize. The checkout line wasn't just a test of your budget, it was a test of your character. And honestly, we all cracked a little. But once you had your supplies in the trunk, the countdown to day 1 officially began. And nothing hit harder than the pressure of picking your first day of school outfit. The anxiety and drama of the first day outfit. Picking your first day outfit in the 90s wasn't just important, it was everything. This wasn't about clothes. This was about setting the tone for the entire school year. This was about walking into the homeroom and hearing someone say, OMG, where'd you get that? You planned it weeks in advance. Everyone wanted clothes from Limited 2 and Oshkosh. Some of us got a fresh tee and matching denim from Old Navy. If you were a girl, you'd raid your closet like it was New York Fashion Week. Mix, match, change, panic. Try on that one outfit for the 5th time and say, ugh, it looked better yesterday. And the accessories? Iconic. Scrunchies, butterfly clips, mood rings, tattoo chokers, maybe even those jelly sandals that absolutely gave you blisters, but who cared? They sparkled. And the pressure wasn't just for girls either. Boys were out there lining up their fresh sneakers, a fresh fade, and deciding if today was a graphic tee day or a sports jersey day. Because that first day outfit wasn't just about fashion, it was about control. You couldn't pick your teacher, you couldn't pick your class schedule, but your outfit, that was all yours. And once your outfit was locked in, there was just one last step before the school year could officially begin. Labeling your stuff with a Sharpie.
The Sharpie pen. It doesn't bleed through.
When it came to labeling our stuff in the 90s, we didn't just label our books, we labeled everything. If your name were Jessica, you'd write "This belongs to Jessica" on everything you owned. Your ruler, labeled. Your pencil pouch, labeled. Your calculator, double labeled. One on the cover, one on the back. Your actual Sharpie, also labeled. If it could be touched, seen, or stolen, your name was on it. And if you had a label maker, oof, you were operating at CEO level. It didn't matter that your backpack had your homework and your name was literally called out during attendance. In our minds, if your name wasn't on your stuff, it was fair game. Labeling wasn't just about keeping track of your things, it was about claiming your space. It was saying, this is mine, this is me. And just like that, you'd done it all. If you lived through these moments, you definitely remember every single detail we just shared. And if you didn't, now you know what you missed out on. Back to school in the 90s just hit different. If this video made you giggle just a little, there's plenty more where that came from. Welcome to the Cozy Rewind, your new favorite nostalgia corner.